Last time, we tore this bike down to nothing. And many of you noticed something off. You were right. That fork was bent. But not anymore. In this video, we're not just rebuilding, we're fixing the past and bringing this machine back to life, ready to roll out the door. Get ready for the transformation. Alright, time to tackle the bottom bracket. If you remember from the teardown, the drive side cup was absolutely seized in there. After battling it for a while, I decided on a workaround. I thoroughly cleaned and prepped the drive side cup in place off camera. Now we'll install the bottom bracket right through the non-drive side. It's not the traditional way, but it's a perfectly functional solution to get this build moving forward without damaging the frame. Just a little grease, careful alignment, and we'll have smooth spinning in no time. With the bottom bracket in place, it's time for the crankset. First up is the drive side. A little grease on the spindle, and slide it through. And then it's a quick job for the impact driver to get the bolt snugged down. Then we'll move on to the non-drive side. Lining it up again, letting the impact driver make short work of securing it, and just like that, this bike is really starting to take shape. Next up, we're installing the front derailleur. This part is crucial for smooth shifting, so getting it aligned correctly is key. Thankfully, the witness marks on the seat tube from the original setup gives us a perfect guide for the height and angle. A quick tightening of the bolt, making sure it's parallel with the chain rings, and we're one step closer to a fully functional drivetrain. Now for the rear derailleur, which simply threads onto the derailleur hanger. Once it's secure, I always manually cycle through its full range of motion by hand. This lets me quickly check for any binding or issues before we even get the chain on, ensuring smooth shifting later on. About that fork, you guys were right, it was bent. Thanks for the comments pointing that out. Stick around to see how we handle this. Okay, test fit time for the replacement fork. Good news, the steerer tube is long enough. The catch? This is a threadless fork and the original was threaded. Looks like we've got a little change ahead to make this work. Okay, so we have our new threadless fork. To make sure it works with this frame, we absolutely need to swap out the headset. The old threaded headset cups are still firmly seated in the head tube, so first order of business is to carefully knock these out. It takes a bit of precision and the right tools, but after a few taps of the hammer of persuasion, the old cups are out, leaving a clean, empty head tube. Now for the satisfying part, installing the new threadless headset cups. Luckily, I had a suitable one tucked away in my parts bin. Always keep those spares. It's crucial here to ensure that everything is perfectly aligned before applying any pressure. You want those cups to go in straight, without any binding or damage to the frame or headset itself. With a proper headset press, we'll slowly and evenly press the new cups into place, top and bottom. It's a gradual process, but when they're fully seated, we'll know the foundation for our new fork is now solid and ready. Now that our new threadless headset cups are firmly in place, it's time to get everything spinning smoothly. I'm taking the bearings and packing them generously with fresh grease, ensuring longevity and super smooth steering. These go into the newly seated cups, ready for action. Then speaking of new parts, check out this adjustable stem from my parts bin. Yes, I think I might be a bit of a hoarder, but sometimes it pays off. This adjustable stem is actually perfect for this bike. Next, the star of this segment, our freshly painted fork. I gave it a quick rattle can paint job in black. to better match the frame, and I think it turned out pretty well. With the bearings ready, we can carefully install the fork through the head tube. And with a few turns on my Allen key, we're all set. Alright, it's time to prep our rear wheel for service. We need to remove this freewheel. Sometimes these can be notoriously stubborn, so here's a trick I use for getting it off. I like to place the wheel, with an inflated tire for extra grip, firmly against a sturdy, immovable object, in this case, my deck post. For extra stubborn freewheels, a long breaker bar is your best friend. With everything set, it's just a matter of applying good, steady force. Sometimes it takes a bit of a grunt, but with that leverage, the freewheel eventually breaks loose with a satisfying crack. Now we're ready to service the hub. With the freewheel off, it's time to give this rear hub some much needed love. To prevent any rogue ball bearings from escaping and rolling away, I always place the hub directly over a plastic container. That way, any runaway bearings are easy to retrieve. First, using my wrenches, I carefully remove the lock nut from one side, followed by the cone. This exposes the first set of bearings. Then I can gently pull the entire axle out. Notice I'm leaving the lock nut and cone cup on the other side. This is a neat trick to ensure proper alignment and save time when reinstalling everything later. Now, you might wonder about the dust caps. This hub has pressed-in dust caps, and from experience, these can be fragile and easily damaged if you try to pry them out. They also look pretty stuck in there, so I'm going to make the call and leave them in place. Instead, I'll use my fingers to carefully pack fresh, new grease onto the ball bearings on both sides. Once both sides are generously greased, I reinsert the axle, making sure it slides smoothly through. Then comes the crucial step, adjusting the cones. This is where you find the sweet spot. Tight enough to eliminate play, but loose enough for the wheel to spin freely without binding. Finally, with the adjustment perfect, I lock everything down securely with the lock nut. This hub is now good as new. Off camera, I service the front wheel hub. It's time to add the new rear shifter. I slide it onto the handlebars and get its position just right, a comfortable reach for smooth, quick shifts. Next, we address the cable housings. These old ones were actually in really good shape, but to guarantee the absolute smoothest operation, I like to lubricate the insides. With the cable housings prepped, I then thread the new shifter cables through them, carefully routing everything towards the rear of the bike. I make sure there are no sharp bends that could impact shifting. Finally, I attach the cable to the rear derailleur. This is where the magic happens. After a few initial adjustments to the cable tension, I start testing shifting through the gears. It often takes a bit of back and forth, fine-tuning of the barrel adjusters, but once it's dialed in, the shifts are crisp and precise. Things are working great, and that's a huge step forward for this drivetrain. Now for some stopping power. First, I'm installing the rear brake lever onto the handlebars, making sure it's in a comfortable and easily accessible position for the rider. Then we shift our focus to the rear of the bike to install the V-brakes. A crucial first step is to apply grease to the brake bosses on the frame. This prevents seizing and ensures smooth pivot action. I then install the first V-brake caliper, followed by the second, securing each one firmly with the appropriate bolt. Back to the front, I thread a new brake cable onto the lever. I'm using a pre-lubricated piece of the old cable housing, perfectly good and now super slick on the inside. I route this new cable carefully towards the rear, ensuring to follow the frame's guides. Finally, at the rear of the bike, once more, we attach the cable to the V-brakes. This is where fine-tuning happens. I make a few adjustments, a quick spin of the rear wheel, and a firm squeeze of the lever, and just like that, the wheel comes to a complete stop. Our rear brake system is now fully functional and ready to go. Now, let's get the front shifter mounted onto the handlebars. Just like with the rear, I get it into that optimal ergonomic position for easy thumb access. Once it's secure, I'm reusing another section of that pre-lubricated cable housing. It's in great shape, and that fresh lube inside means a super smooth pull. I then thread the new shifter cable through the housing, carefully routing it down towards the front derailleur. After attaching the cable to the derailleur, I give it a quick test. Sometimes, these front derailleurs can be a bit finicky to dial in, but on this bike, everything just seemed to fall in place. It worked on the first try with very minimal adjustment. That's always a good feeling when you're building a bike. Now, onto the front brake system. I start by mounting the front brake lever onto the handlebars, positioning it comfortably within reach. Then we move down to the fork to install the V-brake arms. After applying a little grease to the brake bosses, a crucial step to ensure smooth action in preventing seizing, I install both the left and right V-brake arms and secure them with the appropriate bolts. Next, I attach the brake cable to the V-brake arms and a few quick adjustments to the spring tension, and just like that, these brakes are working great, offering excellent stopping power for the front wheel. Now for one of the final touches that make a huge difference in comfort, installing the handlebar grips. Since these rubber grips didn't come with integrated end caps, I'm using a little trick. I insert a nickel into each grip to act as a simple, effective, and cheap bar end cap. To make sliding these grips on much easier, I'm using isopropyl alcohol as a lubricant. A few drops inside the grips, and it slides right onto the handlebars. Once in place, I adjust the grips to the perfect position, making sure they're secure and comfortable for the rider. With these on, this bike is truly looking complete. And just like that, this bike is complete. It went from bent to beautiful and is ready for its next adventure. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you on the next one.